All right, so I am DM Dave. This is take 2 for our heavily modified 5e starter set campaign. Session 1. I'm here. We already did round 1, ran through the mechanics. So in an abrupt intros, we got Ty to chime in. You're playing.
Yeah, so I'll be playing Ghemash Skairixus, who is a blue dragonborn. He's got a scar over his left eye. Looks like he's been through some sort of combat. He kind of walks around with a kind of a weird, kind of bipolar air of happiness and joviality, but at times he changes to kind of a sullen, almost not really angry, but darker countenance, almost like a light and day difference. But he is fairly easy to get along with, and I am excited to play him and play with the rest of everyone else.
All right, and we'll move on to Josh, who is playing Roland.
Right, I am Roland Neinotaur, Ward Elf Druid, and he's just kind of sitting by, keeping to himself. You can tell just by the way that his hygiene is that he's attempted to wash up, but he's still not used to being in civilization. And he looks like he's in the peak of physical fitness, at least for a Ward Elf. But even though his physical appearance is great, there seems like there was some type of psychiatric problem he had that caused him to age a little bit quicker than you think he should, causing his face to be a little bit older than his body. And as he's just sitting there looking around, his eyes meet an old friend, Lorimar, and he greets him with a quick thanks.
So Lorimar, he is a wood elf, or I'm sorry, he is an Eladrin, and the first thing you notice about him is that he is just sitting in the middle of the floor. He's not sitting at a table. He's not sitting in a chair. Just sitting on the floor. Eating his meal. He's got his cowl pulled pretty low. But if you look closely, you could notice that there's something just not right about him. It's almost like he was like a candle that was left out in the sun. He's very pale, but his features seem a little like they've been melted. He clearly went through some type of trauma. But it doesn't seem to affect his attitude so much. He just it's almost as if he doesn't he notices it, but he doesn't let it affect him.
All right, now we'll go out with Thoroar.
And I'll be playing Thor, the Air Genasi Renaissance man, because no rogue will call himself a rogue. And he's basically just a pretty boy, likes to get into trouble a lot, use his skills to get himself ahead. Basically, he's got a light blue skin, blue eyes, really blue eyes, white hair, kind of sticks out a little bit. And he's just a party rogue.
Good. And so we covered our inspiration cards. You guys already drew those.
Real quick, though, now that I can hear you, what was mine? 31?
31. Let me...
I want to make sure that I get it right.
So yours was leadership. So during any encounter, so one encounter, you can activate your leadership card, and any ally within 10 feet of you, you can forsake your action to give any allies within 10 feet of you advantage.
Okay.
And
Any
that'll
allies or
any PCs, anyone who's like on your side, yeah.
More than one. Right.
Yep. So it's like particularly inspirational fight.
Okay.
Nice.
And so anytime for exceptional role playing, or if you, for character, you put yourself in less than desirable position by being your character, stuff like that, I'll award you inspiration, and you take the normal advantage or choose to draw another card. and you hold up to cards. And you can play as many as you want at any one time, too. So that's the difference. To get rolling, for all of my questions, I'm going to use what you see in movies. I'm just going to drop you in the middle of a scene, not necessarily one involving your player character, one that your characters will know about. Just be a jump to of the world. And this is just for deeper immersion. Sessions build. You guys should piece together and start making things viable. Now, any questions, or guys want to get rolling?
Let's go.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
good. So, imagine this like a movie. We're going to start with our cold open. You're looking down a stone castle hallway. It's dark with shadow. You can barely down it, and you hear footsteps padding down the hallway. As they get closer, it sounds like a lot, particularly one very heavy set. Emerging slowly out of you see what will likely be the largest dragon you would ever come across. He is wearing dark gray, black, heavy plate armor all across his body, 2 monstrous long swords crossed along his back, and a dark cobalt blue skin on black, ducking his head just to be able to walk down this entire hallway. He emerges into a wide open room, and this is some sort of makeshift throne room, a meeting room, a stone of castle, run down, very dilapidated, not been in good repair for a while. And he approaches a raised dais there, and on this raised platform, there's a stone throne, and seated on it is an individual with a hood over their face. And even though they're on an elevated platform, shadows seem to just draw towards see any of the details. So the light almost seems to bounce away from this individual. And the dragonborn approaches to the throne and looks up at the figure.
My troops have... It has been a difficult road, but we are here. What is it you would have us do?
Looking up at the shadowy figure, the dragonborn is looked down upon, and a shadow slowly advances kind of out from the figure on the throne, and he waves a hand. And you see a orc shuffle out from beside the carrying a small wooden box, a small tiny treasure chest. And this orc comes out in front of the dragonborn and holds it up in location. And the shadowy figure waves his hand, and the orc the box, and you notice that the dragonborn is now covered in a small blue light emanating from the opening. The shadowy figure begins to speak.
You will find us more of this, and you will kill all in your way.
Then this orc pulls a little map, and it just holds it up as the dragonborn reaches for the map, which is almost as if expected to get hit. Dragonborn unrolls the map, and then he just nods, turns around quickly, and you note that this behind him are over a dozen more heavily armed, ready for combat. And that'll scene. Next, we'll cut to the town of Neverwinter, and you guys traveled and arranged at the Driftwood Tavern. Different ways of being acquainted with Gundren Rockseeker. You know that Gundren is a boisterous character than an adventurer. If there's money to be or be taken, he usually has interest he gets involved in, and he's asked you all here to meet him at the Driftwood Tavern. So everyone has gathered there late one afternoon on the day that Gundren told you to, and this Driftwood Tavern itself is a strange inn. Its interior is just covered in the faded glories of Neverwinter. Tables are made from grand doors. Chandeliers are crafted from the stained glass of the ruined Neverwinter districts. It's an expensive place, and several of you feel out of place. You're lucky that Gundren decided to put you up this night, so he obviously sees something in you. And if you guys want, you can feel free to kind of describe while you're waiting. You know that Gundren is impending a visit.
So are there other people in this tavern right now?
Yeah, so all of you have made it here to the cap. If you want to have just arrived, you can have just made it. This is about the time that Gundren said he would meet you there.
Okay. So you would see whoever was inside the tavern. The door would burst open, and a massive dragonborn standing about 6'6" would walk through the door and kind of just like scan the room. And his eyes would fall upon the blue-skinned air genasi. Almost imagine you're probably sitting in the corner by yourself, or maybe what would you be doing?
Well, since he was told by his guild master that he had to go on this trip, he'd probably be sulking in the corner because he probably had like a date that night or something tonight, and now he's kind of pissed that he has to go with this dwarf guy. So Thor's off in the corner.
Okay.
Kind of sulky.
So the dragonborn would walk over to him and kind of flip a chair around and sit down on it, straddling it Riker style. And he would kind of look across the table at the air genasi sitting there, and he'd say, "Why you looking so blue?" And then he'd start laughing to himself under his breath. Just this guttural little.
And Thor just rolls his eyes.
And Ghemash would raise his hand and call over the barmaid, and he would look up at her and say, 2 earls, one for me and one for my blue friend over here.
Well, thank you, Dragonborn. What brings you here?
And this barmaid, she just holds her hand out. This is a classy establishment. And you don't look like you have a lot of money.
I just kind of look up at her and just roll my eyes and say, "How much?"
She goes, that'll be 5 gold.
I look at her and I kind of almost spit over my 5 gold. And I say, "We'll take water then."
So
Thor is going to say, "Well, thanks for buying me water, I guess."
I give him a wink.
All right, and right about now, the door bursts open as if someone has just strode through, and you notice filling about maybe 3 feet of the doorway comes a middle-aged dwarf, bright red hair, total like crown balding, so he just has the little patch of hair around his head and a long red beard. In his beard is tied off with like golden rings and ornate furs and pouches all around him. This is a very established man, and he strides like he's a man on business. And right behind him, you notice entering is a human. This guy looks very regal, almost. Just your like typical D&D human warrior. You see this guy, and he obviously he seems capable. He's got weathered, worn skin, like a rugged, handsome with long, flowing brown hair, and a long sword at his side with armor on. Gundren Rockseeker is the dwarf who's come through, and he points at all of you. Says, "Good. I'm glad you're here. Everyone, gather here." And he walks over towards the Genasi and sits down at the table.
So, Lorimar would he'd kind of get up off the floor and just saunter over. He wouldn't actually grab a chair, but he'd just, pop right back down onto the floor. Almost like right at the feet of Ghemash. I mean, like uncomfortably close. Like you've got your man V. He's like sitting right down in between your legs, just uncomfortably close, and is just totally okay with it.
I just look down at him and I kind of just like look up at the Air Genasi because he's sitting with his back to me, right?
Yeah, with his back to you.
I give the Air Genasi this look like, what's up with this guy?
Thor just shrugs his shoulders. Says, "Welcome to the city."
And he would kind of huff, and you'd see like a little bit of electricity spark out of the sides of his mouth.
I think Roland would be walking up and
Everything's fine.
really
Okay.
not understanding the right way to greet someone, but knowing that things were due. He'd kind of lean down beside Lorimar and very quietly whisper, "Thank you, I wouldn't be here without you." And then he looks up and he offers his hand to Gundren for a shake.
So Gundren, he just reaches for the table, shakes it real abruptly, one quick shake, and goes and points to a chair. He's like, "All right, don't have long. Glad you guys have come. Take this." And he opens up this map case, and you can see it's full of different rolls and scrolls of paper. Rifles through it, pulls out a map, and drops it on the table. And if anyone unrolls it, they would see that it's the immediate area south of Neverwinter, and it's got a written-in marker across Tribor Hill that has circled the town of Phandelver. So Gundren's holding the rolled out map with his ringed, bejeweled fingers, and he plops his finger down on Phandelver and traces it up to Neverwinter. He goes, "This is the route. Can't promise that it's safe, but my brother Thadren, he'll be coming here. He'll ride ahead and monitor it for you. There's something big waiting at Phandelver. I'll tell you more there. Myself and Sildar, we've got to leave to arrange ahead of time. But if you have any questions, Thadren should be here tomorrow morning with the caravan."
I look over at Gundren and I say, "What's wrong, old friend? Not even a hello."
So at this, he's standing up and kind of stuffing maps back in his pocket, and he clasps you like on the shin. He goes, "It's good to see you. I wish we had time to catch up."
And I give him this nod and I say, "I understand. You were always a busy man after all."
And during the exchange, you notice that Sildar he's downed a thing of water while just standing at the bar, and he's looking over at Gundren, just ready to go. And Gundren makes his rounds. He pats everyone on the back or shakes their hands, and he uses just a brief little, appreciate you. I look forward to talking more at Phandelver.
And you hear Lorimar say to Gundren as he shakes his hand, "After this is done, we'll talk about what you can do for me."
After this is done, my friend, we will have plenty that we can do.
All right.
You're good, Josh. What's up?
Yeah, from the moment that Roland showed the map, he studied it very quickly, and then you just see him on the table with his finger trying to trace out the exact path, just to realize, wow, this is where we need to go. And just even scouting out where the areas might be forested, realizing that he's on this trip to be a tracker, and if he messes up, he'll probably never get a real job again.
All right. So Gundren, he's had his talk with you guys, and after rounding with everyone, Thor, he goes up to you. He says, "I appreciate you as well. Don't worry. There's plenty of money to be had. You can tell the Brotherhood we appreciate their service."
Very well.
And with that, he spins on his heels and back out the door as Sildar follows him. So it's late afternoon, early evening, and you guys are just waiting for Gundren's brother Thadren to show up with the wagon. It's supposed to be here early in the morning. So if there's anything specific you'd like to do during the evening, Gundren has arranged. He's paid for your room for the night, and if you don't have anything else, we can jump to the morning.
I think I would wait for everybody else to go up to their room, and then when no one's watching, I'd go outside and try to sleep outside, feeling more comfortable in the elements than in comfort. And then early the next morning, sneak back in and make it look like our trance outside, I guess. And you sneak back in so no one realizes that I was gone tonight.
Does it look like he had... Well, would I have noticed this, or would he have gone out like as I went upstairs?
Yeah, we'll say everyone went upstairs. He may have just been sitting at the bar.
Okay. Cool.
As Lorimar, he would have stood up and he would have just made a comment. It's strange. He paid for our rooms, but we can't eat anything because 5 gold pieces for a simple drink. It's just crazy. And he just... and then he would retire to his room with his glass of water.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, Gundren, he's not used to being money constrained.
Yeah, as he says this, I'd hold up my glass of water like, here, here.
All right, so the night passes, no event. You guys get some of the best sleep you've ever had, even though you have empty bellies. Just nice, wonderful, cushy beds. And early in the morning, Roland, you hear rattling roll up, and you see a caravan approaching. Not a caravan, a wagon pulled by 2 oxen. And this wagon is your typical, like, Oregon Trail type wagon. It's covered with a canvas covering and just packed full of supplies like barrels of oil, mining, shovels, picks. There's stuff like poking out of the sides of the canvas. It's loaded down. And as it pulls into the Driftwood Inn, out front hops a similarly shaped, totally different appearance dwarf. He's got the bright red hair. He's got a full head, a very short, close cropped beard, and he's also carrying a small dagger and a crossbow across his back. And this dwarf hops off, and he sees you, and he goes, "Well, you're not from here. Are you with Gundren?"
I walk right past him and go directly to the auction. And even though I hadn't really socially interacted with anyone the night before, I immediately go up to the auction and begin petting it and just stroking it. And I look up and I say to the dwarf, "This is such a demeaning job for such a beautiful animal." And I kind of work my way around so I'm face to face with one of the auction, and I look into his eyes and I see that his eyes have been glazed over. And I say, where I come from, men and animals have learned to work together for survival. But you have domesticated these things, so they're hardly animals and more like tools. I think I'd rather walk.
So as you walk by him, just very casually, you notice his hand goes on the dagger at his hip, and then as he sees you just petting the oxen and going on your talk, after you finish, he goes, "Well then, works for me though. Make sure they're safe." And he just walks into the inn. And so he knows that you'll keeps an eye out, like he pokes his head out to make sure you're not cutting them loose or like them from the caravan, but he knows that you'll probably keep them safe. And a little while passes. This is bright and early, and then we'll say if anyone wants to wake up early, they can, or we can just say that kind of the group's up as a whole.
Yeah, I think I'd come down after I just take my trance, not actually sleeping. When I hear the wagon pulling up, I would have come down to the common room.
All right. So you appear right as Thadren is walking in, and he just speaks briefly. He's muttering to the bartender, and he sees you coming down, and he's kind of like, "Oh God, this is gonna be another one of these." And he looks up. He goes, "Hi, friend. How you doing?"
He said, You look like your brother, but you're shorter and you're uglier. Is that how all people are here?
So he grabs the flagon of ale, and he just kind of shakes his head. He's, God, I hate elves. Just tips it back and sets it on the bar. He goes, "Here, what's up?"
And Lorimar just says, That seems like a waste of 5 gold pieces."
Oh, and so Thadren turns and looks you up and down. He goes, "Yep, you're definitely here. You talk to Gundren, I can tell." "I'm Thadren, his brother.
Oh, well,
Traveling with you. I'm lucky."
so is the wagon outside?
Yeah, wagon's outside. And he'll kind of motion you outside to the wagon.
And I just kind of walk out and just stare very strangely at Roland as he's petting these oxen.
I look up to you and just wave you over to introduce you to my new friends.
All right.
At about this point, Ghemash would come downstairs after hearing the wagons and everything, and he would walk up to the bar where the barmaid is, and he'd say, "Usually when I stay at a fine establishment, I give them a tip. Here's a tip for you. Lower the price of your dang ale." And turn and start walking out the door.
And after that, Thor is going to walk down after him and say, "You'll have to forgive my friend. He's not used to such fine establishments."
And the barmaid, and she nods at you politely. You're the only one of the group.
And as I'm leaving, and I think I hear him say this, and I say, "Fine establishment, my dragon," as the door slams shut behind me.
Okay, so
And
you guys.
I'm gonna go to the dwarf. It's like, it's best that we get moving along as quick as possible.
And he goes, "I agree, but have you got the map from Gundren?"
We do.
Okay, you know the route. We're looking about a day and a half journey. We will have to camp overnight. I do not advise riding through the evening. So, and he's pulling out a pouch on his side, pulls out some gold, and he's looking at everyone, and then he's like, "Hold on one moment." Walks inside, and you can see he hands gold to the barmaid, and he didn't want to hand it to you guys. He walks back out. He goes, "Have a bite, eat your food. I will ride ahead out the route. We'll camp tonight and make it there midday tomorrow."
So did he buy us breakfast, basically?
Yeah, so he was gonna see if he would give, like, "Hey, here's some gold," but he's like, "No, I'm gonna go give it to her."
So
You
I
guys-
would look at him as upon doing this, I'd just get this big toothy grin on my face, and I'd lean down and pick him up in a big, massive dragonborn bear hug, and be like, "I knew there was a reason why I liked you and your brother."
So he's getting squeezed when you lift him up. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go," and he just hops on his horse and rides off.
And
And
with
then-
that, I'd walk back into the tavern and get my food.
There you go. So you guys got breakfast. You have time to eat and fill up for the coming day.
I split my breakfast 3 ways, one part for me and one for the auction.
Perfect. Good. And then if you guys have any special interactions, you can. Otherwise, whenever you're done with breakfast, we can get ready to roll out.
I think I would look at Roland as he's taking care of these oxen, and I would kind of just give him a nod, and I'd say, "Your actions are admirable. People don't give as much appreciation to nature as they should."
And Thor is gonna say, "I didn't know oxen ate bacon and eggs."
These are special oxen.
Where I come from, all animals fear the auction. They eat whatever they catch. And with that, I feel an auction begin to lick my hand and jerk it away very suddenly.
They eat everything they can catch. Nice.
All right. So with everyone finishing up their food, we're going to roll out. So who would like to? I imagine Roland wouldn't be guiding the cart. I think you're walking beside
I'm
it.
walking beside it.
Okay.
I have proficiency with land vehicles, so I can guide it.
All right. And then there'd probably be room for one more to ride, unless someone wants to like perch on top.
Well, I think Thor is going to kind of stay stealthy, like in the bushes.
Okay.
Lorimar
All right.
would ride. He would
Cool.
pull his
Please don't tell
cloak.
me he sits between my legs again.
He doesn't, but he does climb up onto the bench, and there's clearly a good foot of room that he could be sliding over, but he sits right next to you, thighs touching, and it's completely natural for him.
I just
And he
kind of like look over at him like,
And he just looks at you and smiles.
And Thor says, "Ghemash, new boyfriend?"
and I say, I sure hope not.
Oh, that's perfect. So you guys roll out this way. Ghemash driving, with Lorimar riding in his lap, and Roland walking alongside the oxen, and we'll say Thor kind of to the rear and the other side.
By the way, when he says the whole boyfriend thing, I look at him, give him this toothy grin, and open my mouth, and you'll see electricity in my mouth, and I say, try anything and you're cooked better than that bacon we had earlier.
Am I too close? I never can tell.
And I say, you're too close.
And he scoots over about an inch.
And I say, it's a start. And I start the wagon.
Perfect.
I am very gentle with the oxen because I know, number one, he appreciates Roland, right?
Right.
I know Roland appreciates them, and I know that I appreciate them, so I'm going to be gentle with them.
And I keep on calling out to you, don't guide the oxen, let the oxen guide you.
And Thor is going to whisper to Lorimar, "I think he's really starting to like you."
Do you really think so?
I think so. That's one of the clues.
Hey,
What
you're
do
in the
you think?
bushes. Get out of here.
No, I just came up there. I stealthed up to the wagon. You didn't see me.
Okay, so you guys, y'all are traveling throughout the day. Roland's helping ensure you take plenty of breaks. You find a stream. You let the oxen graze, drink off the yoke for a while, and you travel well into the evening. And as sundown is getting close, one of you, who was this? Roland, you sense something approaching from right off the side of the woods to your passive perception, and you see Thadren walking out on the crest of a little hill, and he's kind of waving you guys over to him.
We should see what that ugly dwarf wants.
Okay, so if you guys do, you guide the oxen over, and Thadren waves at you. He goes, "All right, I've got a camp over here. We can," and he points to an area. He's like, "We can stage the wagon here and stake them off for the night."
Okay.
I
I would
moved
direct the oxen over there.
I moved the campground 17 feet because the tilt of the hill is not good for the oxen's grazing habits. But after I moved the camp, I relaxed.
Perfect. And Thadren is just excited to see you. It's very, very looking forward to the evening.
I would hop down immediately and give him another big bear hug and say, "Oh, I missed you, friend."
Oh man. So
sitting close is not okay, but man hugs are all right.
I say, only if you've earned them.
I should work harder then.
Thadren looks at you and says, "Don't worry, they're not necessary." And so as he guides you, you realize he set up a little makeshift camp. He's got a small fire going off inside of the woods, so you can't see it from the trail. And he settles you guys in for the night. He's got some packed provisions and food. He kind of pulls it out. And You guys can have some general chat before you bed down for the evening if you want.
Is it a low burning fire?
Yeah.
Okay, I breathe my lightning breath into the fire to make it bigger.
All right.
Because I'm all about that warmth and sitting around the campfire.
All right. And as you do this, Thadren looks. He goes, well, looks like we'll double the watch now.
And I kind of just give him this toothy grin again.
Could I sneak away from the group and speak with animals as a ritual?
Yeah. Well, you could just tell him do you want to just tell him, say you'll be back, or you want to try and sneak away, or what?
I mean, you can make it look like I'm going off to bed, but really, I are going off to trance pad. But then, or you know what? I just get up and leave. I don't care about them. I care about the auction.
All right.
So I just get up and leave, and walk toward the auction. And,
Okay.
I just speak to them and say, that was my first time in the city. Do you like it there?
So these oxen, they have been so domesticated as pack animals. Their intelligence is rather low, but so they can't quite talk back to you. But as you speak to them, they make eye contact, and it's obvious that they're understanding what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, with kind of a broken heart, I pat them on the head and I lay my blanket as close as I can to cover both of them and say a quick prayer with them and then head back to the campfire.
All right, and by the time you leave, even though their personality's been dimmed through years of domestication, you can tell that they definitely feel a little more peaceful and a little more comfortable now that you've talked to them.
Lorimar would walk kind of just to the edge of the campfire light and just sit down, and you see him kind of pull out his spell book, and he just starts, just reading, and he's almost going into a trance-like state.
And Thor is going to be interested in what's in this cart here. So he's going to try to sneak away and take a peek what's inside here.
All right, so sneak away.
So...
And then there were 2.
15 plus we get stealth. 8, so 22 for stealth.
All right. So you sneak away, and it's just Ghemash and Thadren at the fire.
I just look over at him and give him a big toothy grin again.
So
I ask him, what type of beast are you?
I look over at him when he says beast. Okay, I keep my cool. And I look over at him, and maybe you'd see a puff of smoke come out of my mouth, and I say, I am no beast.
And I just kind of nod and I begin looking after nature and find nature much more interesting than anything else he has to say to me.
I just kind of look at him as he says, what kind of beast are you? And then he turns and looks away, and I'm just like, who the heck am I traveling with?
And Thadren, at this point, he's stood up and he's starting to walk off. And as he's passing by you, he goes, "Not the brightest companions in the world. Have fun." And he steps off.
I give Thadren a look, almost longing, and don't leave me, please.
And Thadren is going to check the load on the wagon.
Uh-oh.
What does he do? So where would he see Thor right now as he's approaching the wagon?
Well, Thor, obviously, being a skilled rogue, would be on the opposite side of the party of the campfire.
Okay.
On the wagon.
Okay, so
just kind of lifting up the canvas, trying to look and see what's inside, underneath.
There you go. So Thadren, he's walked to the side, he checks the oxens, and now he's just rounding around, making sure the lashings are tight. walking to the back of the wagon. He checks her a little bit, and then he wraps around the other side as well. So do you continue checking, or are you kind of mirroring him on his walk around?
Well, I would probably, when I heard him coming, I probably would have hid somewhere. Did I see anything inside, or?
Just general like prospecting supplies. You see some casks of oil, lanterns, shovels, and nothing. The whole thing, you figure, may be worth 60 to 100 gold. A large amount, but not a large for the amount of products.
Nothing I could put in my pocket.
Oh no! I mean, the smallest thing you would see would be maybe like some crowbars or some bags of like salted pork.
Do you have pockets of holding?
Do you have pockets of pork holding?
No. So after seeing that, I mean, he would probably hear him coming over towards there, so he would just like back off or something and act like he's going to the bathroom over there or something.
Okay. And so as Thadren's rounding, he's obviously not trying to be stealthy or anything, but he goes back to the fire. He goes, "Well, I'll watch for the first half of the evening. You get your sleep, and then if I can have one of you wake up halfway through, we'll discuss the plans for tomorrow."
I give him a look and nod and say I'll do it.
Okay. So then, if you don't have anything, you can start bedding down for the evening.
Yeah.
And
Just for the heck of it, I'll use Druidcraft to find out what the weather will be like tomorrow.
okay, seems like it'll be a normal day, minimal cloud cover, comfortable temperatures, and like perfect weather. Good traveling day.
Alright, satisfied with that, I just kind of move a little bit closer to the trees and begin to trance.
There you go. Now, so you guys can all bed down. Thadren said he would take the first watch, so he kind of tapers down the dragonborn increased fire, and he just takes a seat. And the first half night goes no problem. He covers for several hours of the night. Then he will come over and lightly tap Ghemash to wake you up and let you switch over.
Okay, Ghemash would get up and give him the nod. But the first thing he would do is after he gets up and takes off his blanket, he would look over and see Roland sitting by himself without a blanket as he put his on the oxen, and walk over and wrap his around his shoulders and go back to the fire to watch.
Aww.
That's cute. Roland's too entranced with nature to notice.
Now, as you make it back to the fire, Thadren says, "I'll catch a couple hours, and then we'll talk." And he just kind of leans up against a tree.
Yeah, I just give him a nod, and I would sit down, and you'd see. Well, none of one would see it. Everyone would be asleep. But I'd reach into my bag and pull out this piece of wood and pull out a dagger and start carving.
All right, so I want you to roll me a perception check.
Great, this is my best stat. I'm going to give myself disadvantage because I'm not paying attention, I'm carving.
Okay.
Okay, well, okay. How does a 12 look?
All right, so you don't notice anything throughout the night, but at one point you just kind of have that tickle on the back of your neck. You don't hear anything out in the distance, but you feel like just something's watching. It quickly goes away, and then you go back to your carving, and the rest of the evening passes with no event.
As I get this feeling, I want to cast my mind out and try and communicate with whatever's out there.
All
and
right.
I'm just going to say, who are you?
So you no response, and you can't even really feel anything out there.
And I say it would be wise if you did not disturb us.
All right, and the rest of the evening goes with no disturbance.
Wise, they heeded my counsel. Okay. So
Very
I
powerful.
as the sun kind of comes up over the hills or the mountains or whatever, I would kind of look up and I look down at my carving, and it kind of like a panned over the shoulder view. You'd see a carving of another dragonborn, probably pretty similar to Ghemash in appearance, but there are distinct differences, like the armor they're wearing and the way that their face looks. It looks really similar to Ghemash, but it's not the same. And I'd kind of pocket this and put away the dagger, and I would stand up and pick up 2 pots and a pan, and I'd start clanging them together. The rise and shine, sleeping beauties!
So a little before your lovely alarm clock, Thadren would have gotten up, and he would have told you, he'd say, "I'm going to ride ahead, just to clear the trail. We will meet up before the branch off to Phandelver."
I nod.
And he takes off. And then we can jump to your alarm clock.
Yeah. I start slamming the pots together. I'm like, the sun has got his head up. Hip 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 hooray! The sun has got his head up and he's coming out to play. And start screaming this as loud as I can.
You look over to where I was, and I'm gone, but now you realize each of the oxen have a blanket.
I just look over and start shaking my head and go and retrieve my blanket.
And after hearing your clanging, I just kind of walk out of the forest and just get ready for the rest of the day.
And I'm cooking over the fire. I'm making some dragonborn stew.
And as you do your alarm, Lorimar kind of looks up at you with like this recognition, like, so that's how it's done. And you know that something bad is going to happen in the middle of the night one of these nights.
I give him this look as he says this, and like kind of like looks at me. And I'm going to see if I recognize his look in his eyes, which I do with a nat 20. And I give him this look and like kind of like don't even think about it.
Oh, love it.
And another puff of smoke would come out of my mouth.
Lorimar, he takes a moment, and you see, like this, he's clearly casting a spell, and this, like this sheen just kind of like goes around his entire body, and he seems to be a little bit more protected as he casts mage armor on himself for the day.
Very cool. And so you guys take a break, and you get to eat your breakfast provisions. And then whenever you're ready to roll out, we're going to do the same marching order.
Yep.
I'm going to roll to see how well I cooked breakfast. Okay, I'm going to use Dex, so that's just a flat 18. So it's pretty dang good, guys.
That is. I'm going to roll to see how well I eat breakfast.
You fail.
I do fail.
Your bowl falls in your lap, and it gets all over your pants. And the oxen comes over and proceeds to lick you.
You can take it as a compliment that I did not give any of my stew to the oxen.
Okay, cool.
Wow,
Awesome.
That's impressive.
There you go.
I'm like, you can really taste the dragonborn in here. I like how you cooked it.
Kind of just like look at him like, do you think I chopped my finger off or something and put it in there? Like it's. And I kind of just nod at him as everyone else is eating, and then I clean up what I cooked with, stamp out the fire, and get ready.
And Thor is going to mumble to himself, I may be marching to my death, but at least I'm going to eat good.
All right, so when you guys roll out, you head out on this same trail you're on in the morning, and after maybe 30 minutes of traveling or so, if you notice on your map, there's the branch off to the left. So you veer off onto a more rugged, just like 2 ruts type of off-road trail. And you're guiding the cart down there for maybe an hour when you start to bridge up a hill, and you notice on in the distance, actually, roll me. Everyone can roll me a perception check.
My best check ever. Wow, I actually okay.
A 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a 1 too. I'm too busy making sure the oxen can make it. Help me pull them up.
Imagine if I had real perception. I got a 12, so that's 14 minus 2.
I rolled a 19, so I get 22.
Nice. So, Roland and Thor, you guys notice, you go, I think that's a hill.
I just look over at them and nod and like, yes, it is.
But Lorimar, you see before the crest of the hill, off in the distance, you see a black, or well, not black, but from the distance, it's a blurred figure, and it's almost right off of the road, but it's moving very slowly and like haphazardly towards you.
And I would kind of elbow Ghemash, be like, "There's something up there."
And I would like turn and look at him as he elbows me, and then turn and look. And like I almost feel like it wasn't even like an elbow, like because you're sitting right next to me, like you like nudge me like a little bit with your arm. And I just look down at him and just shake my head and look up to where he's pointing. And can I make out what it is?
Not from here. So the figure is almost right at the top of the crest of the hill. You guys would have to move up to the crest, or closer.
Okay.
I say we go see what that is.
I nod. And I just nod at him and kind of get this grim look on my face because I know what kind of things live out here and what wander these trails, and I don't know. I get very on edge.
All right, and do you guys? So you guys just keep on moving forward, same formation and everything.
Keep on trekking.
All right, so you drive the cart forward, and as you get approximately 100 meters off of the crest of the hill, you can make out now that from this distance, it looks like a small child or a very small human. Like it's not a full-size person figure.
It's like a halfling?
Can't tell from this far, but you can see, it's not like a 6-foot person, but it looks humanoid, and it's definitely moving, not very deliberately.
Do I know anything about this area? Do halflings live in this area?
So they're not uncommon to see. Now, you guys are on the Tribor Trail, which is a significantly less traveled road. The main road that you're on in Neverwinter, you could have expected to see all sorts of travelers, but this one is a bit stranger.
Okay. All right. I kind of I look down at Roland. He's like right next to the oxen, right?
Right.
And I notify him of what's up the trail, and I kind of say, just be on guard.
Right. And with all of my travel, I'm used to coming across strange people on the road, and they've never caused me any trouble, but just to make Ghemash feel a little bit safer, I kind of ready my shield and get a firmer grip on my quarterstaff.
Lorimar just says, let's go talk to it. What's the worst that could happen?
I look at him, we could die.
And I still don't have any clue because I rolled a 1, so... Thor,
he's like, wow,
Thor,
the trees are beautiful.
It's still
Thor
a hill.
found like a pond or like a puddle and he's looking at his reflection in it.
Or you're wondering, you're like, how do you talk to a hill?
Why are you guys talking to that hill?
All right, so you guys will, if you keep creeping forward, you close the distance.
Lorimar would step out of the wagon at this point, though, just to give himself a little bit of room to move and just kind of walk alongside the wagon as it's going up the hill.
And Ghemash would noticeably untense himself, like he's been like... and he's like, ah.
Now, as you guys creep probably another, you get half the distance, you're probably 60, 50 meters away. Lorimar, you can see on this figure some very vibrant red hair. So you can only see the back of the figure right now.
They're Scottish.
That sounds like Thadren. He had very vibrant red hair, didn't he?
Is this like the same color red, or can we tell?
Can I tell?
You can't tell.
It looks the same. It looks the same as the hair, the ugly hair you saw earlier.
I don't remember Thadren as much as the horse that he was riding. And so,
So you don't see a horse.
exactly, and so I immediately discount that it can't be him, since there is no horse.
Lorimar would start just walking towards him.
All right, and as you close the distance, you get maybe 10 or 20 more meters in, and you see that it is indeed the slumped over form of Thadren. It's moving even less than it was as you guys were off in the distance.
And Thor is gonna kind of like not go directly towards it, but stay like circle around.
Lorimar would run to him then.
All right. So as you draw close, and you make the noise, Thadren clenches up as if he notices you, and rolling around, you see it's very laborious and intense effort for him to roll around, but he levels a crossbow at you.
Oh.
And seeing that it's you at the last second, like he almost squeezes the trigger, but he kind of drops his arm to the ground. And as he rolls over, you notice sticking out from his chest are 4 thick black shafted arrows, and he has a giant gash running along the lower part of his belly and thigh.
Lorimar would just yell, "Roland, we need you!"
I immediately run to him and I see the wound and I ask what happened to his horse.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna park the caravan and run over to see what's happening also.
So you notice that Thadren's eyes already appear almost glossy, and he's dropped his arm. It's still clenched tightly around the crossbow, and his other arm is kept tight to his chest. And you notice there's a small leather roll in that hand. And he looks up at you, and he tries to mutter something, and you just see frothy blood kind of sputter out the side of the mouth, and he just drops down.
And Thor is gonna, while everybody is around him, Thor is gonna be keeping a lookout, looking, all around while these guys are tending to him.
Can I roll for medicine to see if I can do anything to help?
Yeah, roll for it.
Alright. 22.
Okay. So what are you doing to help him?
I guess first I just want to look at the wounds to see if anything was hit that could be a critical injury.
So you notice that one of the gashes along his thigh is incredibly deep, and that entire leg has been just absolutely saturated with blood. So it's a very deep gash on the inside of his thigh. And with your medical experience, you can gather that this is likely beyond the realms of magic or medicine to heal.
Golly. I really wish I had a blade. Look him in the eye and tell him everything's going to be okay. And I just try to apply pressure to slow down the bleeding.
So he can manage just enough to look you in the eye as you're trying to comfort him, and then his eyes just slowly drift off, and you can tell that he's done.
Lorimar just says, "He was ugly, but he didn't deserve to go like this." And then he turns and starts looking outward for what could have possibly caused this.
So while you're looking, you notice there's a long path of blood from the direction he had been crawling that leads back over the crest of the hill, the direction you were heading.
Can I look for tracks or something? Like
Yeah,
if
so
there was a skirmish or something?
So if you follow his trail of blood, you'll reach the crest of the hill, and you notice that there's a steep drop on the other side, and approximately 200 meters, there's another smaller hill. And down in the valley at the bottom of the two hills, you can notice several figures across the road and across the sides of the road. At this distance, you're probably 150 meters off, and they're just dark figures. None of them appear to be moving.
They're standing or laying?
So they all appear to be laying.
Oh.
So it definitely looks like the scene of the battle. And as you watch for a little while, you don't see anything moving.
We should go see what happened here.
If anyone was watching, you would see Ghamash's countenance change completely. So before he was just smiling and, he was joking around and everything. But you'd see, if you looked into his eyes, it almost looks like a raging tempest. Just pure anger and energy and just constant smoke coming up out of his mouth. And you'd see him reach onto his back and pull out this maul, this beautiful ornate maul, and on it there'd be a giant stone head with a sapphire core. And he'd put it over his shoulder and just start walking down the hill.
All right.
You'd see Lorimar. He has this just beautiful elven rapier on his hip, and you'd see him start to reach for it, and then decide not to, and just pull out this just ordinary, short sword. It's very conspicuous.
And Thor would kind of hang back and check the dwarf for any valuables.
Yeah, you would.
Oh yeah, you know it.
All right, so what you can take from him, he's got the hand crossbow. It's just a normal hand crossbow. He's got a dagger in his belt with a small short sword as well. And clutched in his hand, that rolled piece of leather, you notice a map case. And it is totally empty. And it's smeared with blood. Some of it's fresh, but then you notice that on the inside there's dried older blood. And additionally, you find some more just vague provisions, and then a pouch with about 20 gold.
Yeah, I will take the pouch, the map case, and the hand crossbow. So I would notice the ogre blood when I picked up the map case.
Oh, sorry, just older blood, not ogre blood.
Oh, older blood.
So like drug blood.
Yep.
Ogre blood, we would be in for.
I'd be like, I turn around and start walking the other way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Come on, we're all level 1. We could.
You do realize an ogre could drop any one of us in one hit, right?
Just,
Especially the rogue.
Oh, I would dance around. You'd never hit me.
Alright, well, I continue down the slope, just this look of anger in my eyes.
All right, and Roland mentioned sword, so there's still a dagger and a sword if you want.
I look over the weapons, but I'm more content with what I already have. And I just kind of wipe his blood off my hands onto my hide armor, and I take more of a roundabout route. So, we're more spread out just in case anything happens.
Okay, and so to give you guys an image, y'all are cresting the downside of the hill. You're descending maybe 40 feet or so. It's a very steep, short hill, and on either side, as you go down to the bottom, there's just like a naturally canalizing effect. Very thick brush and forest to the side, and you notice there appears to be some sort of just small, like intermittent seasonal stream at the bottom. So as you get to the bottom, you're forced to narrow, and it opens up as you crest to the far side of the hill. And as you walk down, you draw closer. When you get to the bottom, you realize there is, on approach, the bodies you see on the right side, there are two just still laying bodies, and you can't make out from the distance yet. And then in the middle of the road is two much larger stationary bodies that don't look as humanoid.
I think we might have found those missing horses.
And as you keep going forward, do you guys want to walk all the way up to the battlefield?
I am. I'm pissed.
Yeah, I want to see what happened.
Perfect.
I would.
Okay.
I'm on
I
the
would split
outskirts.
up.
Yeah, I'd rather stay more in the brush.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thor is opposite whatever Roland is. Roland's on one side, Thor is on the other.
Perfect. So you guys close the distance, and you'll notice that as you're seeing the bodies on the side, they are goblin bodies, and all the ones you see on the right side, there's two of those, and they have crossbow bolts through the eye, so they were dropped in their spot. And then in the middle, you see the horse that you recognize as Thadren's, and further down, you can see another downed horse, as well as right off the side of the road is one more downed horse, but this one is missing all four of its legs. They've all been butchered and hacked off, and it's missing a good portion of its body, and you can see trails of blood just tracking into the forest. So someone hacked off all the legs and parts of the body.
I'd approach these goblins first.
Okay, so as you're looking at the goblins, you notice they do indeed have crossbow bolts. One's through the eye, and the other is kind of like up through the throat, and they are out, totally dead. They're both holding like really crude, rusted short swords or scimitar types, and they're just ratty armor, and that's all they have.
Do they have the black shafted arrows?
No, none of them.
Ah, okay. Interesting. I will check their bodies for anything that they might have, such as like any kind of written, I don't know, like a piece of paper, like a note or something. Maybe like what do they have on them?
So as you dig through one of them, you find absolutely nothing, and on the other, tucked inside the waistband of his ratty leather armor, you find a crude little stick that's had some twine tied around it, so it's like a couple sticks making a little man figure.
Lorimar would try to find Roland, and he'd say, "Roland, we need to follow this trail of blood."
Realizing you just ruined my cover, I walk out to where you are and inspect the blood.
All right. Now, as you approach the, so you're approaching the butchered horse, right?
That was the one down the road, right?
That's
Yeah,
where Lorimar is.
So right now you guys are. So Ghemash is at the closest part of the downed goblin body, and Lorimar sounds like you're approaching the horse bodies in the center of the battlefield.
Oh yes, that's correct.
And I'm meeting him there.
Okay.
Do I sense anything arcane coming from this doll, by the way?
No, you don't sense anything because you're rolling for initiative.
Yay! Oh my gosh, nat 20.
14, 18.
6.
7. My heart is broken from seeing the dead horse.
So Ghemash, you had a 20.
Yep.
And Thor, you had what?
18 altogether.
18. And Roland, you said 7.
Mm-hmm.
And Lorimar?
6. 6. Did you get that?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
Good.
Alright, so-
So 1. Okay. So let's get this rolling. So our initiative order, I'll go ahead and type it in the chat just so you guys have it. It'll be Ghemash, Thoroar, Goblins, Roland, and Lorimar.
Goblins. Okay.
But
Oh man, should have been an ogre.
Lorimar's yell has alerted everyone. So all of these goblins, as Roland starts approaching the body, and Lorimar, I imagine, is just standing there looking down at the horses. Some black shafted arrows come flying out at him. And the first one misses. Lorimar goes flying by you. And the second one misses as well.
Yeah, it does.
And then Roland, you have a crossbow bolt come flying directly at you, and it grazes the right side of your shoulder.
Great.
For 1 damage.
That bad?
Ouch.
And oh man, seriously? All right. So
Nice playing with you.
okay, hold on. Let me look at the numbers for this. All right. So one more comes flying out, and this one lodges straight in your shoulder. Roll for.
On the bright side, I can no longer feel the one that grazed my shoulder.
This one distracts for you. All right, so this one hits you for 7 points of damage.
All right.
Wow. Be joining your horses here soon.
Yeah.
Gotta stop horsing around, man.
That'll teach you to ever listen when Lorimar calls you, right?
Yep.
Okay. Wow. So.
Should I have been more quiet?
So Ghemash, you've just seen Roland was just walking up to Lorimar, and all of a sudden you notice just arrows and bolts come flying at them as one just sinks deep into Roland's shoulder.
Okay. Do I see where they came from?
So you notice that 2 arrows just came from the woods. And if you peer closer, you can see shadowy figures right on the side of the wood line. And the bolts you saw, 2 goblins appeared on the right side of the wood line, and they just basically popped themselves out to the edge of the road and fired their crossbolts.
How close are they to me?
So they're probably 30 feet away. So if you burn all your movement across the battlefield, you could make it to one or the other grouping.
Okay, so I'm going to run up to the goblins within 15 feet of them. And as I'm doing this, I start yelling, "You killed him! He bought us breakfast and you killed him!" And this toothy grin you usually are used to, it turns into one that's almost sadistic. It's like this angry, like, I'm going to cook you. And I open my mouth, and lightning bolts streak from my mouth. They both have to make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw.
All right. Okay, so neither one of them make it. I'll let you flavor what it looks like.
Okay, so I'm going to roll for damage real quickly. Nice. That's 10 damage to both of them.
All right, so how do you absolutely destroy these guys?
So you see this electricity kind of boil up inside of my mouth, and then I close it for a second and open it again, and this ball of lightning, because somehow I concentrated it, and it would shoot forward and hit one of them, and then streaks of electricity would arc over to the next one, and they would just sizzle and turn from green to brown like bacon, and collapse to the ground, and I would just scream in the air, and lightning would streak from my mouth.
Okay. So you just absolutely fry those two, and we can move to Thor.
All right.
So what you've got left is they're about 45 feet from you. They're across the opposite side of the road. There are two goblins right on the edge of the wood line, the ones that fired the black shafted arrows earlier.
All right. So I can't reach them to melee them. I'm still hidden in the woods.
Yes.
So, yeah, I will try to hit them with my short bow. Would I have advantage since I'm kind of hitting them?
They're like right in the wood line too. So we'll say that you're hidden will negate the disadvantage. So you can roll flat.
Flat. All right, then I wouldn't be able to use my sneak attack. So yeah, I'll just have to hit them with a short bow. 19 plus 6, 25.
All right, that hits.
What do we got? D6. 3 plus 4, 7 damage.
All right. So how you can describe how you finish off this goblin?
Well, looking after Ghemash there, kind of torched the other two goblins. It kind of caught my eye. As I was watching that, I saw two others at the tree line. So I come out of the woods. I get into the open just a little bit and fire my short bow at them, at one of the shadows, and I managed to hit him.
All right, and that goblin, your arrow enters the wood line, and all of a sudden you see this goblin just fall out face first, appearing from the wood line dead. And as this happens, the goblin standing next to him, just eyes wide open, he just looks, and this goblin sees his friend fall dead out of the wood line, and he turns and just starts booking. He's staying right on the edge of the wood line, but he's running towards you guys, like towards the very bottom of the trail where those trail of blood was leading. And in doing this, he will cross near enough to Roland to trigger an opportunity attack if you'd like.
All right. I will try to hit him with... What arm did I get hit in with the arrows?
So I was picturing left arm.
All right, so that would have been my shield arm. So with my right arm, just with the strength I can muster, I go for attack with my quarterstaff, and that's 18.
All right. So you managed to hit him.
All right, and that's for 6 damage.
Perfect. So how do you want to describe this hit?
Just
It doesn't finish him off, but how are you hitting him?
it doesn't finish him off.
Mm-mm.
All right, just from when he tried to run past me, he saw me gripping my wound. But as he came near, I take my hand and my bow staff away from my wound, and just with the little bit of strength I have, just swing it at him and hit him, I imagine, kind of in the back as he's trying to pass me.
All right. So this goblin was trying to just run right by you and make it to that trail, and as you hit him, it winds up knocking him prone, and you hear a small little like crack from his legs as he drops toward the ground. And so this goblin is just slowly trying to just crawl his way towards the trail, and that'll do it for him. He drops his weapons, and he's just intent on getting out of there right now. And then we can move to Lorimar's turn.
It's my turn, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, Roland.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is your turn.
Yeah, well, now that I hit him, my animal instincts kind of kick in, and I remember this one time when I was walking through the forest, I saw a fox attacking a mouse, and the fox kind of kicked the mouse and he knocked against a rock, and at that moment the fox no longer had to worry about anything. He knew this kill was his, so as he licked his lips, he just kind of stood behind him and planted his fangs in the back of the neck. And without thinking about it, I take my quarterstaff and I touch it to a wooden medallion that's around my neck. And as this happens, you see that this blackened medallion around my neck, that color spreads to my quarterstaff. And as I stand behind this goblin, I raise my quarterstaff up, and with all my might, I'm going to attempt to hit him. And I have advantage, right?
Yeah.
Alright. 21's first roll, 20's the second roll.
All right. So that hits. Are you hitting to kill?
I am. Yeah. Well, normally I'm in a nice mood, but I've been shot with a couple arrows today, and I don't see anything but prey. And so, just like I saw that fox in one motion grab the mouse and just break its neck, I drop my quarterstaff right across the back of his neck. And do I need to roll damage?
No. With that, you hear just a resounding crack, and the goblin's head kind of just like rolls back with the crown of his head almost touching his back. And he's done. And you guys don't sense anything else around you, and that'll conclude combat.
Lorimar would just kind of look over at Roland and just shrug his shoulders.
Yeah. Well, in pain, as soon as I see that the goblin's dead, my adrenaline stops, and I drop my quarterstaff, and at that moment, the blackened color disappears, and it goes back to its normally oak color, and I kind of fall to my knees, just clutching at this arrow that's still implanted in my shoulder.
All right. And that, I think that'll do it for the night. We quick summary, you guys have just wrapped up the battle with the goblins. You just downed 4 of them, almost all in one hit, very impressively. But Roland, you took some pretty significant damage with an arrow to the shoulder, and you're standing amidst goblin bodies and a horse carcass and a trail of blood, with your cart of provisions parked at the top of the hill next to Thoroar's body. And we can pick up next time and see what you guys plan to do. So,
All right.
I plan on healing.
if anyone's got any inputs or any questions about what's going on, you can feel free or do some closing comments.
No, Dave, this was fun. It was
Cool.
it was great that it was like, combat was what, 5 minutes, and it was just it was great. I mean, that's how it should be. I love it.
Good.
Yeah, good session.
Yeah, I think how great it is bearable depending on how many arrows you take to the shoulder.
And I forgot to note, too, so it seems a lot of my sessions lean towards minimal combat and a lot of roleplay, which I absolutely love. But just how I do D&D in general, like when we're in combat, I envision the entire round, like all the actions are taking place in the same span of 6 seconds, more or less. So, for example, when Roland is going to finish off that goblin, I'm totally cool with Lorimar or Thor, who've already gone. If your character would be calling something out to him, like, yeah, snap his neck, or don't do this, like, I'm very loose with how you take your actions. So you guys just pitch something to me, and I should be cool with it if you can justify it.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
But Ty, Thomas, unless you guys got anything, I'll let you do a little outro, Ty, and then we can call it a night.
No, I had a lot of fun. I'm loving playing Ghemash. I'm loving this group.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till next Wednesday. This has been really, really fun. So I'm enjoying this.
Yeah,
Nice.
looking forward to it. I think in character Thor would probably be pretty impressed with his companions here, even though he'd never admit it. And you'd probably pick on Ghemash more, after seeing what he did, taking out two goblins. But yeah, it's a good session.
All right. Well, we'll have more opportunity for picking on Ghemash and just general weirdness from Roland and Lorimar when we come back next time on our second part of Dark Discoveries.
Yeah. I almost imagine that Ghemash did that as a show of like, this is how strong I am, Lorimar, don't touch me.
I think Thor is going to say, well, now I see why Lorimar likes you so much.
Oh, I know what he sees in you. And he just gives him this look, just like... Alright, well, I had tons of fun. This is on my channel, DM Ty. Thanks, everyone, for playing, and thanks for running the session. Thanks for running this campaign, Dave, and I'm looking forward to playing next week. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
It'll be great.
Yep. See you guys next week.
Alright, and in the broadcast, and